3 months ago, I couldn't speak a word of English. I only knew basic words like hello, thank you, and goodbye. Every time I tried to speak, I felt nervous and afraid of making mistakes. But I had a strong reason to learn. I wanted to get a better job and communicate with people around the world. So I told myself, no more waiting. I will learn English in 3 months. I created a study plan. I decided to study every day without excuses. I would listen, read, write, and speak in English every single day. I didn't want to waste time with just grammar rules. I wanted to use the language. I also promised myself not to be afraid of making mistakes. I looked for resources online. I found YouTube videos, apps, and podcasts. I also downloaded an English learning app and joined a Facebook group of English learners. It was amazing to see people from different countries helping each other. I knew I wasn't alone in this journey. The first week was hard. I felt frustrated because I didn't understand everything, but I kept going. I wrote down new words in a notebook, repeated sentences out loud, and listened to short stories every morning. I also watched English movies with subtitles to hear how words were pronounced. At the end of the first week, something amazing happened. I understood a complete sentence without translating it into my language. It was a small victory, but it gave me so much motivation. That's when I realized this is possible. Chapter 2, Daily Practice, Continuation. Listening became my favorite tool. I listened to English podcasts while cooking or cleaning. At first, I didn't understand everything, but I kept listening. I focused on common words and phrases, and I repeated them many times. Slowly, my ears got used to the rhythm and sound of English. It became easier to follow conversations. Every night before bed, I wrote a short paragraph in English about my day. It helped me practice writing and remember new vocabulary. I didn't worry about being perfect. I just wrote. Then I read out loud to improve my pronunciation and fluency. This simple habit changed everything for me. I also used flashcards to remember words. I would look at a word in English and try to say the meaning in my language and then do the opposite. After some time, I didn't need to translate. I could understand the word instantly. That felt like real progress. Some days were harder than others. I felt tired or discouraged when I didn't understand something. But I always reminded myself of my goal, to speak English confidently in 3 months. That goal kept me focused and gave me energy, even on bad days. By the end of the first month, I was speaking simple English. Not perfect, but understandable. I was proud of myself. I had made more progress in 1 month than I ever had in school. And the best part was I actually enjoyed learning. Chapter 3, Real Conversations. In the second month, I pushed myself even harder. I started watching English videos without subtitles. At first, I understood only 50%, but that was okay. I learned to guess meaning from the context and body language. I also paused and repeated sentences to train my ears and tongue. One big step I took was joining online conversation clubs. We met on Zoom, and each session had a topic like travel, food, or work. At first, I was nervous to speak in front of others. But after a few sessions, I felt more relaxed and started speaking more naturally. I even made friends from different countries. I learned so many useful expressions in those conversations. Phrases like, I'm not sure, but, or, can you repeat that, please? Made my English sound more natural. I also paid attention to how native speakers use their voices, intonation, pauses, and stress. I try to copy them. During this time, I also practiced shadowing. I would listen to a short video and repeat every word at the same time as the speaker. It helped my pronunciation, rhythm, and fluency. I sounded silly at first, but with time, I improved a lot. By the end of month 2, something magical happened. I had my first full conversation in English without asking for translations. I understood and responded naturally. I was so happy that I almost cried. It was proof that my hard work was paying off. Chapter 4, Confidence Boost. In the 3rd month, my focus was on fluency and confidence. I knew enough vocabulary to express myself, but now I wanted to speak faster and more naturally. So I practiced speaking every single day. I talked about daily topics like food, travel, and my plans for the future. I started recording myself speaking English. It was strange to hear my own voice, but it helped me a lot. I listened to the recordings, found mistakes, and corrected them. Week by week, I saw the difference in my tone, grammar, and pronunciation. I also challenged myself with real-world English. I called customer service in English, joined webinars, and even helped someone online by giving simple directions in English. These small moments gave me so much confidence. I wasn't afraid anymore. Grammar became easier to understand through usage. I didn't memorize rules. I use grammar naturally by repeating phrases, writing stories, and speaking often. The more I practiced, the more correct my sentences sounded. English started to feel natural to me. At the end of the 3rd month, I looked back and couldn't believe how far I had come. 3 months before, I could barely say a sentence. Now, I could speak, listen, write, and understand English at a conversational level. I wasn't perfect, but I was proud. I had achieved my goal. Chapter 5, A New Me. After 3 months of intense learning, I felt like a completely different person. My confidence had grown, not just in English, but in life. I could now introduce myself, ask questions, share opinions, and even tell short stories, all in English. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. One of the best moments was when I helped a tourist in my city. They were lost and asked me for directions in English. I didn't freeze or panic. I answered clearly, and they smiled and thanked me. That simple interaction made me feel proud and strong. I realized I could really use my English in the real world. My family and friends were surprised by my progress. They asked me how I did it, and I told them the truth. I practiced every single day. I stopped being afraid of mistakes. I made English part of my daily life, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. I also noticed that English was helping me in other areas. I could now understand song lyrics, watch movies without subtitles, and read articles online that I couldn't read before. It felt like I had opened a new door to the world, one full of opportunities. The most important thing I learned was this: English is not just about grammar or vocabulary. It's about courage, patience, and consistency. Anyone can learn if they truly want it and are willing to work for it. Chapter 6. Sharing my journey. After seeing how much I had improved, I decided to share my story online. I posted a short video about how I learned English in 3 months. I share my favorite methods, resources, and tips. To my surprise, many people watched it and sent me messages saying they felt inspired. Some people asked if I could help them start their own English journey. So I began answering questions and giving simple advice. I told them to focus on speaking from day one and not to wait until they felt ready. I reminded them that confidence comes from action, not from perfection. Helping others made me even more motivated. I realized that teaching was also a form of learning. When I explained something in English, I had to think clearly and use simple words. It helped me speak better and think faster in the language. I also joined online communities of learners like me. We shared goals, challenges, and victories. Being part of a group made the process more fun and less lonely. We celebrated each other's progress and pushed each other to keep going. This experience showed me that learning English can also be about building connections. I was no longer just a student. I was part of a global community, and that gave my English learning a deeper purpose. Chapter 7. What's next? Now that I can speak and understand English better, I've started thinking about the future. I want to keep improving, of course. My next goal is to speak even more fluently and maybe take an international English exam like TOEFL or IELTS. I want to see just how far I can go. I've also started reading English books. At first, I chose easy ones, short novels or stories for beginners. But now I'm moving to more complex books. I highlight new words, write them down, and try to use them in my daily writing and speaking. My vocabulary is growing every day. Another thing I want to do is travel. I want to visit English-speaking countries like the United States, Canada, or the UK. I want to experience the culture and speak with native speakers in real life. It's exciting to think that now I can do that and enjoy the trip fully. Learning English in 3 months taught me an important lesson. Anything is possible when you're consistent. Even on the days when I was tired or discouraged, I kept showing up, and that made all the difference. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. So what's next? Keep growing, keep learning, and never stop using English. It's now part of my life, my routine, and my identity. And that makes me feel proud every day. Chapter 8. Beyond the Basics. After reaching a conversational level, I realized there was still so much more to learn. I no longer struggle with basic phrases, but I wanted to express complex ideas and sound more natural. I started focusing on advanced vocabulary, idioms, and phrasal verbs. At first, they were confusing, but I wrote them down in a notebook with example sentences and reviewed them daily. Slowly, I began using them in conversations, and native speakers started telling me, "You sound more fluent now." That made me feel like I was finally crossing into a new level of English. I also started watching interviews and documentaries in English. These were more challenging than simple shows or podcasts, but I wanted to train my ears to understand different accents, speeds, and vocabulary. I paused often, repeated parts, and took notes. It wasn't easy, but every time I rewatched something and understood more, I felt a rush of pride. My comprehension skills grew fast because I pushed myself outside of my comfort zone. Writing became another powerful tool. I began writing blog entries in English, describing my journey, my thoughts, and even short stories. I shared them with my new English-speaking friends online, and they gave me feedback. Some corrected my grammar. Others encouraged me with kind words. I took every suggestion seriously and used it to improve my next post. Little by little, my writing got clearer and more expressive. One day, I joined a public speaking challenge online where learners had to prepare a short speech and present in English. I was nervous, but I wrote my speech carefully, practiced it dozens of times, and finally delivered it with confidence. Afterward, people clapped and told me they were impressed. I couldn't believe how far I had come, from struggling to say hello to giving a full speech in front of an audience. That moment gave me the courage to aim even higher. The truth is, learning English changed more than just my language skills. It changed how I saw myself. I wasn't just someone trying to speak English. I was someone who could now think, write, and speak in it. I felt more confident, more open to the world, and more ready to face any challenge life had for me. That transformation was more powerful than I ever expected. Chapter 9, English and Opportunities. As my English improved, I started noticing new doors opening in my life. Job offers that once seemed unreachable were now within my grasp because they required good English. I updated my resume in English, created a LinkedIn profile, and even started applying for international remote jobs. To my surprise, I got invited to interviews. Speaking English during those interviews made me nervous at first, but I reminded myself of all the practice I had done, and it worked. I also started helping others in my community who were just beginning to learn English. I created a small study group and shared all the tools and strategies that worked for me. I encouraged everyone to speak from day one, to stop worrying about grammar so much, and to make English part of their daily life. Seeing their progress gave me a sense of purpose, and it reminded me of how powerful community support can be. English gave me access to more than just jobs. It gave me access to knowledge. I could now read books, listen to lectures, and follow world news from different sources. I began learning new things in other areas, like psychology and personal development, all through English. My world had expanded in ways I had never imagined before. I felt like I was no longer limited by language. I remember one day getting an email from someone in another country thanking me for the blog I had written. They said it helped them believe in themselves again. That simple message made me cry. It reminded me that language is more than communication. It's connection, empathy, and inspiration. My journey was helping others, and that gave it even more meaning. By this point, English wasn't just something I practiced. It had become part of who I was. It shaped how I thought, how I learned, and how I connected with the world. And every day, I continued learning, not because I had to, but because I loved it. That passion is what keeps me moving forward. Chapter 10, The Power of Belief. Looking back now, I can clearly see that the key to learning English in 3 months wasn't just about technique. It was about belief. I believed I could do it, even when others said it was too fast or too hard. That belief gave me strength on the days I felt stuck, tired, or frustrated. It reminded me that every small step mattered, even if progress wasn't always visible right away. I also learned that failure is part of learning. I made mistakes every day. I forgot words, mispronounced things, misunderstood people. But instead of feeling ashamed, I embraced those mistakes. I laughed, I corrected myself, and I tried again. I stopped aiming for perfection and started aiming for progress. That mindset shift made all the difference. Consistency was another superpower. I didn't study for 10 hours a day. I studied a little every day. 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there. I listened while walking, spoke while cooking, and wrote before sleeping. English was everywhere in my life, and that daily exposure built real fluency over time. There was no secret, just commitment. Now, whenever someone tells me they want to learn English, I tell them, it's possible. You don't need expensive courses or to live abroad. What you need is the right attitude, a daily routine, and a strong reason why. If your why is strong enough, you'll find the time, energy, and motivation. That's what I did, and it changed my life. I may have started this journey with doubt and fear, but I finished it with confidence and joy. Learning English in 3 months was more than a goal. It was a transformation. And now, I know that I can learn anything if I truly believe in myself. That's the greatest lesson English gave me.